Okay, everybody, welcome. This is our first Zhang Career Center Town Hall meeting set up for students, trying to help you the best we can to get through this coronavirus issue with job search, internships, and unemployment. Those are the three major topics we will be covering today. Look for us in the future because we plan on doing more of these in the future. So that should be pretty interesting. First, I want to introduce our panel. First, we have Bronwyn Drost. She is from Southwest Michigan First. She's a director there, and she's going to be helping us out with some of the questions that you may have in regards to unemployment. Next, we have Geraldine Haystack, who is the director of the Zhang Career Center. Jennifer Palmatier and Greg Priester are both employer relations specialists that work in our office. They are both here to answer your employer-related questions. Jessica Sonnenberg-Ward and myself are career development specialists here to answer questions that you may have about career development and what it is that you can be doing in this time to prepare. And I just want to thank everybody for being involved. There's been a lot of people, a lot of outreach professionals in the field that are here, professors. Thank you all for being here. It's awesome that you're here. And really, I want to start off for the students with a very specific message, and the message is this: the understanding that the entire world, everybody right now is going through this coronavirus, and everybody's having to adapt. Everybody's having to pivot. I want you, hopefully you are all thinking about it already, and I'm sure most of you are, but I want you to be thinking about how you are going to pivot in this time. I can give you a 100% guarantee. This is one of the only times I give a 100% guarantee here, but each and every one of you in the future will be asked by an employer, what did you do when this happened? What did you do during the coronavirus to better your own situation? And if you have an answer like, I had to learn how to do school online, that's everybody. That's what everybody's doing. So that's not necessarily going to help you stand out in the crowd. What we really want to be focusing on is, what skills did you earn yourself? What skills did you go out there and actually learn, and what certifications did you go out there for? So be thinking about that sort of thing as we're going through this, and how it is that you can stand out, because in a time like this, it's the people that do more that will be seen more, and you want to be that student. So we're going to have a lot of answers to a lot of your questions today, and we're going to have Greg Priester kind of start us off with a question to get the ball rolling, and then students, as you have questions, or if anybody in the group has questions, please put it in the chat function, and Greg will read those questions out, and we will kind of parse them out. So without further ado, Greg, could you give us our first question, please?
Yeah. So my first question for the panel is, if my internship was canceled, what should I do now?
Cool. And are there any takers on that question from the panel?
I can start. Hi, everybody. I am Jessica, and I'm one of the career development specialists in the Zhang Career Center. And first of all, I think this is a question that's happening for a lot of students. We in the Zhang Career Center have been kind of updated by companies of who's canceling, and we understand that this is impacting a lot of people. And so I think the number one thing that we've heard so far is that employers that have had to rescind offers are very supportive of students including the internship experience on their resume still, and including in that message that the offer was rescinded due to COVID-19. Something that we want to make sure that every student knows, that it's still appropriate to share that you secured like a prestigious internship, and we want you to still be able to boast that. And so that is one thing that I would kind of do. Number one is make sure that you still can include that in your materials. I think there are a variety of ways that you can respond to if you've lost your internship and you are unable to secure another one. You can find other ways to professionally develop yourself. Bob mentioned a couple of those examples, and I believe has some resources that are going to be sent out to everybody so that you have those. But you can take courses online like Udemy. You can work on professionalizing your Excel skills. That's something that's always desired by employers. You can spend time taking some of the free classes that are now offered just as a result of everything. I think what I think is most important during this time is everybody handles stress and anxiety in their own way. So for some people, diving into a certification program is going to be the thing for them. For other people, it's going to be reading professional development books and finding out how they can improve their skills in other ways. For some, it's going to be like starting a new project or maybe starting a new business or finding some online work as an alternative. I also think finding work that maybe you don't value as much, like necessary work right now, is also another option should you feel like that would be something you'd be comfortable doing. So those are kind of my options. I'm sure other people have other ideas.
So I'd like to just chime in a little bit on that as well. So absolutely everything that Jessica said is spot on for what you should do when you find out. So your first reaction to that, if that's still in the future for you, is probably a little bit of panic. And one of the things that you need to understand is that it's not time to panic. It's going to be okay. It's not going to feel great at that moment, but there are other things that you can do. We are here to support you. So definitely reach out to us and schedule an appointment and we can talk through your specific situation and take care of yourself as well. So as Jessica was talking about, that's extremely important. And it's never good news to receive that, but don't panic because it is truly not the end of the world. There's plenty of things you'll be able to do depending on what your specific situation is to make that have a better outcome for yourself.
Yeah, and to kind of follow up on what everybody else just said, there are a ton of options, and some of you might find some of the options available not as sexy as an internship. What I would say is tackle this with an open mind. Like I mentioned before, those employers are going to ask you the question, what it is that you've done with your time during this crisis. If you sat at home on the couch and decided that you were going to take this time off, that's the answer that you're going to have in those moments. If you decided, okay, my internship got canceled, that's a bummer, that really sucks, but I really want to work at said company in the future, I wonder if they have any part-time jobs available or if I could work at a different level at the organization right now to earn extra money. That is a very solid strategy, a long-term strategy for getting into that organization that you really want to work for if they are actually hiring for some, what you may consider lower level jobs at this point. Huge resume builder right there. And then if you're looking for networking opportunity, there it is. So take advantage if you can.
Hey guys, I'm Bronwyn from Southwest Michigan First, and I guess I want to start off by saying, well, first let me share what I do. So I work with companies across the region in Kalamazoo County, St. Joseph County, and beyond, and I want you all to know how hard all of our companies are rooting for all of you. Everybody recognizes, how disappointing this is in many ways, and in fact, a lot of the companies who had to rescind internship offers are probably just as devastated as you are. We all love at Southwest Michigan First, we have a group of 6 interns typically every summer, and we love the energy that you bring to our organization. We love the fresh ideas, the new perspectives, and everything you do to make our team whole for that summer. It's one of our favorite times of year. That said, I never want anybody to feel bad about feeling bad. It's okay to not be okay, as people say. When an unexpected curveball like this happens and you feel kind of like everything's out of your control, it's completely reasonable to feel whatever you're feeling. It's normal. And the other thing I just wanted to share is unemployment information, which is why Bob asked me to join the panel. I want to make sure that each and every one of you are aware that If you've had a plan to work for the summer or do an internship for the summer and those plans are no longer possible due to COVID-19, whether you were going to pick up extra shifts at a restaurant or start your internship or anywhere in between, you are eligible for what we call Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, or PWA, as the government likes to call it. So if you haven't already, I think the first steps already discussed are super important, but I would encourage you all to hop online to michigan.gov/UIA and file an unemployment claim. So the way that this is happening in Michigan, even though this pandemic unemployment assistance is a federal thing under what's called the CARES Act, in Michigan, we're merging that federal compensation with existing Michigan unemployment. So the way to access that pandemic unemployment assistance is to file an unemployment claim with Michigan. So there's a number of reasons that folks qualify for unemployment at this time, and all of you fit under that umbrella. So whether or not you'll have any Michigan unemployment coming to you, which is up to $362 per week. So if you've worked at other jobs over the past 5 quarters, an employer might show up there when you file your claim. But regardless of whether or not you would qualify for any Michigan unemployment assistance, you will qualify for the $600 in pandemic unemployment assistance from the federal government. So some of you might be receiving $600 a week. So some of you might be receiving a little bit more than that, but please do take advantage of that resource because it is there for you to enable you to do the things that you need to do to prepare yourselves for what's to come next. And so there's a lot of information on the michigan.gov/UIA website, or you can just Google Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Michigan, and it'll take you right to the page where you need to file. So again, you'll need to file a Michigan claim, and even if it tells you you're not eligible for Michigan unemployment benefits, you'll still get the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. And so I would highly encourage you to take a look at that if you haven't already. And happy to answer any questions that you guys might have further down the road. The other thing to kind of piggyback on what Bob mentioned earlier about considering employment opportunities that might not be completely in line with what you're hoping for, we do have a bunch of companies locally, as the Western crew is aware, that are still hiring people. So for example, I had a Zoom meeting with MPI Research this week. They are currently looking to fill 50 openings at their facility in Mattawan. The wages are $15 an hour. You get full benefits day one, including vacation, things like that. And they're willing to consider short-term positions right now. And it's kind of cool because they're actually working on vaccines and other medicine related to COVID-19. So the work that you're doing directly contributes to that, overarching effort to heal our country once this passes. So we have a list of those companies who are hiring. Parker Hannafin and Richland is also looking for about 50 people to work there to make ventilator components to make sure that all the hospitals across the country have what they need in order to help heal folks who are sick. So if you visit southwestmichiganfirst.com, there's a little section there that says COVID-19, and then there's a subheading that maintains the list of the jobs that we hear about. Many of those jobs will also be posted with your Career Center, Bob and the crew there, but just wanted to mention that too.
That's awesome, Bronwyn. Thank you so much. That's a huge amount of information that we will definitely be taking advantage of. And Greg is going to be posting here in the chat function very shortly a lot of the web links that we have for student resources to be used. Some of it's given to us by Handshake, some by LinkedIn. We also have some unemployment information. We actually have a link to the actual CARES Act so that you have the legal language to it, so that you understand, how you qualify for unemployment in this situation and in this scenario. And I can't echo enough what Bronwyn just said. That's all 100% true. I'm usually not the guy that's going to tell you go file for unemployment. That's not what I do. But right now, you should. You definitely should, because this isn't anybody's fault. So you should definitely be considering doing that. And don't feel bad about it either. If you're feeling bad about it, do your best to get over it and go apply.
Hey, Bob, can I step in too? Bronwyn, I just want to echo everything you just said. I've heard the same thing. I work with employers on the Career Center side, and I have heard the same thing. They are just as devastated that this is happening. And it was just, when they have to tell us that this is the plan, it's just I think it's harder for them to tell us that, to even speak it. But with that being said, we also have an event on Handshake, which is related to COVID jobs as well. So you are able to log into Handshake and you'll see the event posted for COVID. And then we also have local jobs posted there. And then also some industry areas to be looking at, include especially a tech right now is, lots of things available there. But just wanted you to know that there is a resource posted on Handshake for you to check out, those jobs as well through the Career Center, at least.
Right on. Thank you, Jen. And Greg, if you caught some of those links that Bronwyn was spitting out, I was trying to memorize them while she was doing it. Bronwyn, can you share a couple of those links again, like where to apply for unemployment, and then the Southwest Michigan First job site?
Absolutely. I'll throw them in the chat box. 1 second.
Thank you. All right, Greg, what's our next question?
Yeah, so our next question is, Jessica was talking about if my internship was canceled, I can still put that on my resume. If my study abroad was canceled, can I still say that I was accepted to study abroad on my resume?
Ooh, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, I think that would be appropriate. To me, it's the same sort of experience. You were accepted into study abroad, which we know is something that is selective, much like an internship. And so I would put it on there much to the similar language that it was rescinded or canceled due to COVID-19. I think that's totally appropriate because that shows that you went through the process, which I know is quite arduous. And so we want to support you in having that experience on your resume, even if you're not able to go forward. That's my opinion. There might be others out there, though, too.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, I do as well. Better to say that you were offered a position and it was rescinded due to the coronavirus than not telling anybody at all. So, absolutely. All right. Greg, next question.
So another question that has popped up in the chat is my job is my internship is going to a virtual format. How can I make the most of that virtual format? And what can I do to help me stand out amongst my peers?
I'm just going to pop in with something small. I think that what I've read is it's really important to keep video conversations like this going with your mentor through the process, whether it be a short daily check-in or at least weekly, so that they can see what you're getting through and what how you're progressing, and you can kind of take that time to show them what you've accomplished. But I think the face-to-face, as much as we can like this, is important to keep that information going back and forth, and that's a good time for you to ask questions and get some feedback on where you're at and how you're doing too. We do have a link that will be popped in, which is a resource from Handshake. And when you click on that link, if you scroll down through there, there's all types of blogs with help with offering ideas. And I know that this is one of the things listed on there. So there's another spot where you can look for a whole lot of information, if you want to read further into this. But I think those weekly check-ins or daily even are great.
I think for virtual internships, although I know it's going to be such a big challenge, it's going to be such a great experience to have on your resume, because you are going to use so many skills to be able to be successful in that role. I think the first thing is you really have to be self-disciplined. So you really have to stay on top of what is expected of you, make sure that you're reading things thoroughly, that you're touching base, like Jen said, regularly with whoever your mentor is that you're hooked up with, or who you're directly reporting to, and just making sure that your communication is really wonderful with them. And I would follow their lead of what their preferred mode of communication is, so that you are matching kind of their expectation too, because this is most likely for them going to be their first experience having a virtual internship too. So that kind of leads me to my second, just like we're all kind of being flexible and figuring out how to be adaptable right now. I think that's going to be kind of another skill you're really going to get from this experience, is just know that the way things work in your first week of your internship may be very different by the end of your internship, because they're going to learn things by implementing their ideas that first week, and then may make some adjustments to what they expect of you. I would also be looking to connect with people on LinkedIn. So your LinkedIn account, I hope, is set up and ready and looks professional. And if you want some feedback, that'd be a great thing for you to set up an appointment one-on-one with somebody in the Zhang Career Center, so we can go over your LinkedIn profile with. But I would be doing those like intentional reach outs to people within that organization that you would have normally been able to network with. And please don't send like a blanket, the same message to every single person that works at that organization. Make sure that you're looking at that person's experience, learning about them a little bit, and have a reason for that reach out. Like, oh, I see that you also went to Western and you took this path in the organization. Can you tell me more about that? Or would you be willing to set up a 15-minute appointment with me? So I would be doing kind of informational interview reach outs with other people that are working at that organization, so that you're building up relationships there. If you are in an internship experience that also has other students currently in it, you should be networking also with those students, because they're going through the same exact experience as you and may have some good tips that they implement as an employee of the organization that would be really helpful for you. So those are a couple of things that come to mind for me, and I'm sure that Bob or Geraldine have some additional ideas there too.
Yeah, I think that those are all great things to do, Jessica. And I think that really one of the ways that you always, whether it's virtually or in another way, make yourself stand out is by working harder than other people do. So sometimes in this new situation, you might not know how to do it. So Jessica gave you some great tips about how you could sort of use that downtime to really also continue to work and improve things for yourself. And I also think it would be really great if you thought about those career readiness competencies that we talk about all the time, and things like oral and written communication. Take it as an opportunity to have some good examples of how you communicated well. Your work ethic, again, working harder than others in a situation where you really don't even know what the work is going to be. Thinking about your critical thinking and problem solving, you're going to probably need to solve some issues and problems. So do it, and then make sure you're recording that so you have examples to talk about how you've supported your career readiness growth during this virtual internship.
Yeah, and I don't know how the rest of you feel, but I'm a very extroverted person. And this is killing me. Like being here and not being able to be around people and talk to people. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. And I know some of you out there feel the same way. Staying motivated and staying engaged is going to be critical during this time for you. It's going to be very, very critical. So trying to find balance, trying to be able to find a way to exercise, practice a little mindfulness if you need to, do a little meditation if it helps you. Do some breathing exercises, and then, take 5-10 minutes off of work, go do your stuff that you need to do to get your mind right, come back to it and put in your best work, and be overly communicative with your employer. If you have a virtual internship, you are going to have to communicate in a way that you've never had to communicate before. So make sure that you're communicating with your best language, putting your best foot forward, staying motivated, staying engaged. And you're going to knock it out of the park, and you're going to have a great story to tell future employers about how you were successful in a really difficult time. All right, Greg, what do we got next?
Right. So we have a question about the pandemic unemployment assistance. We're just wondering what kind of effects that unemployment or the pandemic unemployment assistance might have on filing your taxes for next year. Do we know how that might impact it at all?
That is a great question. So it is taxable income. So when you file your claim with the state of Michigan to receive your federal pandemic unemployment assistance, it will ask you if you want to withhold taxes from that payment or not. So if, depending on where you land on that fiscal responsibility scale, some folks like to have it taken out at the beginning so they don't have to potentially pay it back at the end of the year. Others just, would rather face the music come April 15th or whenever the next tax filing deadline might be this year. So yes, that's a great question. And I also neglected to mention, some folks are concerned with how unemployment might affect their future employer. So where you might have had an internship coming up, or their past employers where they might have worked in the past and might be drawing Michigan unemployment from. Under COVID-19 and the governor's executive order and under the Federal CARES Act, no employees are going to be held liable for unemployment claims like this. So it won't rack up charges on their account. It won't affect them in any way at all. So great questions.
Does that, Bronwyn, just to clear the air on this, that includes like credit scores and everything else too, right? I mean,
yep, no impact on any of those things at all. In fact, nobody will know that you're even drawing unemployment except for the state of Michigan itself, who processes the claim, and the federal government. So it will have absolutely no impact on anything financial, your credit score, anything like that. So it's a relatively easy to navigate application. And again, with that $600 before taxes, it can really help you to focus on the things that are important right now for you to do to continue to move forward in your career trajectory, rather than panicking about how you're going to pay rent or how you're going to get gas in your car and things like that. So I think it's clear that it was intended for all of you because it's specifically alluded to in the CARES Act. So it's something that all of us recognize is important through unemployment. And then this is a little bit off topic, but another wonderful thing that some students have talked to are doing is, if you feel safe doing so and you don't live with anyone who might be immunocompromised and you have access to high quality masks and things like that, we actually have a significant need for a lot of volunteers in our community as well. And that can be something that looks fantastic on your resume and in your LinkedIn profile. Not only that, it can help you to introduce or meet folks and expand your network, and also helps you sometimes to refine what you're really interested in. So I would encourage you all to look at volunteering as a possibility. Again, especially if you're able to collect that pandemic unemployment assistance and don't have to worry about taking other jobs. We all know there are lots of jobs at all the pizza joints around town as delivery drivers and ship delivers and things like that. But if you can and you have the inclination, and again, it's safe for you to do so, that's something that you might want to consider as well. So Griffin Place has a lot of opportunities for that, and I will share that link with Greg as well if you guys want to check that out. I'm sure Western's Career Center has a similar function.
awesome. Thank you, Bronwyn. That's awesome. What do we got, Greg?
All right. So where should I be looking for job postings, and how do I find out who's hiring right now?
Well, I mean, of course, all of you as students and alumni have access to Handshake, and employers are still posting positions. Your internships are still going to be posted there, maybe a little less or shifting, or some companies might find that this is opportune for them, so they might be putting things on there. But yes, employers are still posting every day on Handshake, so keep checking that resource. And then I'll maybe bounce this over to the career development team about other job search sites that might be helpful, or ways to do job search as well.
Yeah, I can tell you that LinkedIn actually has a little section on all of your profile pages that say, here's who's hiring right now during the coronavirus epidemic. You can actually click on that link and it will take you to a number of jobs. Again, you got to remember, and this is this is a very dynamic situation. Things are changing every single day. And I know everybody's aware of that, but they might not apply that to what's actually available and what's actually out there for employment. So what you have to remember is, we have, for the first time in decades, I mean, since the Great Depression, massive unemployment right now. And people are going to be looking for jobs that are unemployed. Some people are going to ride the unemployment train for a little while. And that's going to take away from your competition to go out there and find something. Just realize that those jobs that might not be, like Bronwyn echoed earlier, the job that you really, really want, they may lead you to something else, or they may beef up that resume so that it does help you to get other places. She made a mention of there's plenty of need for pizza delivery drivers, and there's plenty of need for these things. I can tell you one thing, and I've told a lot of students this story with the business externship program. When I went down to John Deere, and I talked to one of the vice presidents of procurement, he said the most amazing thing, the most amazing person I ever hired, all she had on her resume was McDonald's. And the fact that she could take responsibility for the things that she had with McDonald's and then sell that to me, I had to call her in for an interview, and I called her in for an interview, and she destroyed the interview. And she's been working here for 7 years now at John Deere, making a ton of money. Every piece of work experience you can get is valuable if you know how to communicate the value. And that is the trick. We have to figure out how to communicate that value. And Jessica and I are very adept at being able to help you do that. Please let us know and we can do that for you.
I will just add one thing. Actually all of us that work in the Zhang Career Center are pretty good about on LinkedIn. We'll share resources when we find them that we think are going to be helpful to our students. Because honestly, I use my LinkedIn as a way to connect with students. I'm really using it for my job function in interacting with students. I find it's a really great way to connect with folks. So that could be a really great step for you to take immediately after this meeting, is just connect with everybody from the Zhang Career Center. And then that would be popping up in your LinkedIn feed as well, because we've shared some resources, much like we've shared today. That is another great way to get some information from us too. And we also have sorry, not LinkedIn, I just said that, an Instagram account too, where we post a lot of resources, and that's just at WMUZCC if Greg wants to add that into the chat. I'd recommend following us because we post a lot of stuff there as well, to kind of adapt and adjust to what's happening right now. And I think that that's a really great step you can also take currently. At the end of this session, so that we have a record of everyone, Bob will be putting up a poll, and we can email all of these links out to everybody, so that everybody has them in one place, and can kind of refer back to them, just because it is a lot of information right now.
Yes, we can definitely do that. All right, Greg, what's next?
All right, so my next question is, and we might not know it the 100%, but do we know if there are going to be any changes to the internships requirement for food marketing, CPG marketing students, for internships that were canceled in 2020?
That's a good question. So the food marketing program, it does require an internship for graduation. So I was curious about this too, and I would recommend that you reach out to your professors. This is going to be a decision that is entirely up to them, but I can tell you that they are open to working with students that have had this situation happen. So if you haven't reached out to your professors yet, then I would encourage you to do so. And then I do know that they are working on some communication to send out to students that may be in this situation that they haven't spoken with already. I think that's the best. I can't give you an answer on what those, if the internship requirements are going to look different. That's all going to come down from faculty, but please know and just be aware that they are willing and working on a plan to work with you through this process.
And then a follow-up to that one, for folks who are graduating from food marketing in 2021, and they were planning on the internship this summer, what would be some good options for them to try to do to help make up for that lost experience?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the opportunity probably that you were planning on, or the area that you were planning on as far as CPG goes, probably not available to just go out and snag something that's going to be incredibly similar to what you were planning on. However, there are a lot of opportunities in retail right now. So if you're a food marketing student and you are interested or able to help out, at somewhere like Meijer, Kroger, all of those places, that's still going to be really great experience on your resume as well. Being able to speak to how the retail environment operates and being a part of that is not something to be frowned upon by any means. That's a great experience to have on your resume. Meijer is a large player in the CPG world. So that is a good experience to have, and same with all of our other retail operations around, and many of them have openings right now. So although it might not be the you were planning on or hoping for, it is still a wonderful experience to have, and right now there's openings in that area. So that would be one area you could look. If anybody else has anything to add, that's I think where I would probably point people in the direction of right now, but.
I think that in addition to that, that there's also opportunities in a slightly different format or context. So you have to kind of open your mind to thinking about things a little differently. But, Bronwyn mentioned earlier that Parker Hannafin is hiring folks. And I know Hayworth also has, Hayworth Corporation in Holland also has opportunities for people to work on sort of the manufacturing floor end of things. Well, really, those are probably like related to supply chain, but in, food and CPG, a lot of the courses you take are also related to that supply chain, because in food marketing, that's a very important and connected field as well. So I think in addition to retail, those would also be really good opportunities that you could spin as to learning how the skills you learn from those and how that impacts your ability to work in the future in your chosen field.
Right on. Totally agree with all of that. And understand that there are probably merchandising jobs available. Merchandising plays right into food, consumer packaged goods. In fact, it's like pretty much where a lot of folks start after they get their degree. So, getting that baser level experience right now while you're a college student would be a smart idea, even if there wasn't a coronavirus going on. So, do what you can, get out there, get engaged, get motivated, and get working if you can. Absolutely. Greg, what's next?
All right, the next one on the list is how do I make connections with professionals at this moment?
I think one of the best ways to make connections with professionals is through your LinkedIn account. So starting with getting that in order first, and then reaching out to alumni at organizations that are alumni, because alumni are interested in connecting with you. So I think that that's a really good place to start at firms and industries that you're interested in, and you can use the alumni tool on LinkedIn to find who those people are, and then reach out and connect, because you already have a connection with someone who's an alumni of Western Michigan University, even if you've never met them. So that's where I would start.
To piggyback off of what Geraldine just said, just so everyone's aware, we have started to create videos about how to do certain things because of the coronavirus. And one of those videos is a LinkedIn video about how you can take advantage of LinkedIn and connect with the right people. That LinkedIn video does exactly what Geraldine just mentioned and shows you actually visually how you can do it. It'll take you through step by step. So utilize that resource. It's out there on the Zhang Career Center webpage. If you go to the Zhang Career Center webpage and you go to the bottom of the page, you'll see links to videos that you can actually look through. You can also look them up on YouTube. because our marketing department threw it out there on YouTube, and they're out there. So those are some great resources.
I actually have one other thing to share too. So Southwest Michigan First runs this design initiative called MIX, M-I-X, and it's kind of a broad umbrella for the entire design community in Southwest Michigan. So that includes marketing and advertising, graphic design, communications, writing, photography, film, what have you, anything creative that you can imagine. And though we typically hold face-to-face mixers that are a wonderful place to meet people, we've moved those online. So I'll share the link to our Mix Design Initiative events. We actually have one coming up on April 23rd, a mixer, we're calling it. So everybody will hop online and say hey to one another. And it's with the Richmond Institute for Design and Innovation as well. So that can be a really fun place to meet people and expand your network as well.
Awesome. All right, Greg.
All right. So the next question we have is, the Zhang Career Center has shown that they're able to adapt to the changing times with uncertainty moving into fall 2020. What are some of the plans that the Zhang Career Center are thinking about implementing?
Funny you ask. Well, we actually started talking about that today, like what we're going to be planning for semesters upcoming, and we are that is like foremost in our mind. So we're still in the planning stages of how we're going to continue to offer services. We have definitely pivoted in a time where it's been very difficult, and I'm really, really happy. I know everybody here that's on the team knows that we've all worked really hard to keep providing services and to provide services that wouldn't be provided if it was just a face-to-face function. Now we're doing it virtually. So we've done a lot to move the bar up a little bit, and we're going to continue to do that. It's a great question. I'm not sure we have specific answers yet. We are exploring virtual career fairs though for the future as well, just so you know, just in case. We don't know which program we're going with, and we don't really know what that looks like yet. And I can let kind of Jen or Greg take over there.
Yeah, we've been looking at, the nice thing is that there's all sorts of things to connect students and employers virtually. So there's a lot of programs that are out there and available, and we're just kind of looking through the things this summer if we have to be in that type of situation in the fall, so that we'll be ready and prepared to pivot really quickly if we need to. So thankfully, there's already a lot of things in place that will make this easy if that transition is needed. So we're just kind of looking through and making sure that we know what the best options are in case that situation comes up.
Thanks, Jen. And also, I think that, sometimes I think we're the education branch of ideas are us. And that's actually what we do a lot of is think about ideas. And so this has really certainly made us think even more about ideas and ways to help our students in different ways. And so we've been really focused on, putting out fires in these first few weeks as we did the pivot. But now we're going to get coming here soon, the bandwidth of being able to think about fall semester and what changes could be for that. And some of those maybe changes we make even if we are back on campus, because we're thinking about things differently at this point in time. So.
One thing I do want to plug that we are working on right now is promoting more of these town hall type meetings. And so those will be coming in the next couple of weeks. Because we have quite a great participation today, and that's something that we want to continue moving forward, is providing opportunities where we can do some programming virtually. And so we are looking for ways that we can kind of innovate what we're currently doing and kind of the structure in that. But we thought it was really important that we come out today before the end of the semester for Western to chat with everybody. And so that's one of the things that we are doing. As was mentioned, we have virtual appointments that are available. So that's something that we're doing immediately. So any of those questions that you might have that you just want to talk it over with somebody. I've had a number of students that just wanted to talk to somebody about what's going on with them and how things are impacting them. And that's totally appropriate to meet with any of us to kind of talk through those things individually. And we totally welcome that. But those are just a couple of things that we are doing in the immediate. And then we are doing some strategic planning for the rest of the summer and fall.
Right on. That's a great question. Thank you for the question. Greg.
Yeah, so I've been in communication with my internship coordinator, and they're still kind of uncertain on what's going to happen, whether or not it's going to be canceled or whether or not it's going to be postponed in person or virtual. What can I be doing in the meantime?
Yeah. Go ahead, Jess.
I was just going to say, first of all, I totally feel for you in that it is so hard to wait on an answer. And I just know what that feels like, of being in this influx of not really knowing if something's going to happen or not. And I think what I would interpret that, if I were you personally, is that they're trying to make it happen as much as they can. And that's why they haven't given you 100% answer. Just as somebody, we facilitate the business externship program, and that's been the same story for us. We're trying to make that program happen no matter what. And so I think that that's probably what's happening with your internship right now. I think some of the tips that we used about, working on some like professional development on your own right now could be a really great step. Looking at your materials, seeing if you can take like an online class after your classes are over, just to like keep your mind on something. I don't know about anybody else, but me and my husband, we commiserate on weekends because we don't have the structure of our workday to keep us kind of motivated. And so we have set goals for ourselves on the weekends of projects that we have to do because we get very demotivated and maybe a little anxious and depressed. And so that's a technique that has worked for me personally. But I think staying busy with other things that will occupy your mind and space would be the way that I would approach that.
Yeah, I think it was a great point that Jessica made. It's probably a positive that they haven't given you an answer yet because they're really trying to work on it. That's a fantastic insight. You need to continue to have communication is what I would say. Have some pretty open communication with those people. It's okay to ask questions, but it is not okay to ask questions every single day until they give you an answer. So you are going to have a certain level of patience and adaptability in this moment. And this is how you're going to be able to practice that and talk about it in the future for sure. But yeah, totally understand where you're coming from. And especially if you need to make money, then there's that issue as well, which is why there's this wonderful CARES Act that Bronwyn's been talking about, and why it's okay to be able to go in and apply for that unemployment. And you do that, and that's great. And then boom, the employer calls you and says, hey, we're going to do this virtual internship. You're off of unemployment, you're doing the virtual internship, you're making money, you're getting the experience, and everything worked out the way it needed to. So there's a lot of options. It's really easy right now to get siloed into there's nothing I can do. The worst thing you can do right now is nothing. The worst thing you can do right now is nothing. And so if you hear anything that everybody says here today, just make sure you're taking action. You need to take a little bit of action here. Anybody else want to add?
I was talking to some employers, and one of the tips that they had made during this time is some of the employers may be having a hard time trying to come up with some tasks that people would be able to do virtually. If you are able to like do a little bit of research, kind of figure out what it is that you would have been doing, and be like, make some recommendations on things that you can do at home that you think would be of value to that employer, and email them and say, hey, I've been looking into things. I think that this is something that I could potentially do. Is this something that you think would be helpful for this experience?
And I also think just being patient. They're just trying their best right now to get things together, and we are still hearing every day of what those decisions are. A couple of large companies reached out yesterday with their decisions. So things are still kind of coming down from leadership, and they're anxious to hear too, because there's nothing more that these internship coordinators want than for these internships to go on. So just be patient with them as they're waiting for answers from their leadership too.
Greg, what's next?
All right, another one of the questions that we've had. If you work in a high risk field, so we're talking maybe retail, in the food industry, or in manufacturing, can you negotiate for additional hazard pay?
Bronwyn, do you happen to know? I know that there are some companies that are offering hazard pay. Do you happen to have any information there? Just a curious question.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of companies right now are having to consider for their employees and or their interns. We've heard a lot of feedback from the companies that we serve that they're having folks who are no longer showing up for work because they're concerned about the virus, or because they might have somebody who's immunocompromised in their home, and it's just not worth the risk for them to leave the house and or come into work. I also know a lot of employers have implemented a lot of really strong safety measures to protect their employees, whether that's modifying shifts and having a whole cleaning crew come in between and just sterilize and sanitize everything before the next group of folks are even able to come into the building. They're employing all the social distancing rules necessary to ensure that all their employees are 6 feet apart at all times. That said, obviously, our essential workers are, there's no question, at higher risk than the rest of the population, who's blessed to be able to stay in their homes right now if they choose to. So the negotiating hazard pay is a great question, and I wish I had an answer for you. I'm kind of looking forward to hearing what the Zhang crew says about that, because it's a question that I've encountered from some personal friends and family members too. So, I mean, from my perspective, it's certainly worth an ask. I think it's how you make that ask that's really important. And I'm going to leave that to the career professionals rather than the economic development kid over here. So Bob, what do you think?
Right on. Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's definitely how you ask, and it is part of the negotiation for sure. Some companies will respond in a way that, they may be like, no, we don't have that sort of thing, and you need to be prepared for that kind of answer. But also making sure that you ask the question is very, very, very important. And I would ask is my advice.
And especially if your major is like something like sales, and then you'll have another example of how you demonstrated your ability to negotiate. Because that's a skill that's needed in that particular field.
There you go. Jessica, what do you think?
I'm in total agreement with you for sure.
Right on. Greg, what do we got?
Yes. So another question we have is, some people are starting to think about some of the things that they can do at home. And so they're talking about the Gallup Strengths Assessment. And they were wondering if they could sign up for strengths coaching.
So yes, we are able to help students who have taken the assessment be able to get some insights. In fact, all of us have some training in strengths coaching, so we absolutely can do that in the one-on-one appointments, or set you up with someone else who can work with you as well. So definitely it is a good thing, a good use of your time, and a good way to learn some new insights about yourself. Bob, do you have anything extra to add to that?
Yeah, definitely. Let's do strengths for sure. If you have taken your strengths assessment, if you have your answers or the results of your assessment, absolutely. Strengths is an easy one. I love doing strengths. Let's do it. That's my answer.
Great.
All right. Greg, do we have another question?
Yeah. We have, is not having an internship during the summer of your junior year going to impact opportunities for full-time employment during your senior year?
question. And before I ask that question, because we are running up to an hour here, Greg, is there a way that you can throw the poll out so that if there are students that need to exit? Thank you. Greg's going to throw a poll out for all students that are here. And please, if everybody that's here, professional and student alike, if you could fill this poll out, we'd be greatly appreciative. Make sure that you're leaving your name. We definitely need your WMU email as well so that we can get back to you with some of these resources. If you don't have a WMU email and you have a different email, and you don't go to Western is basically what I'm saying. If you don't go to Western, please give us an email address anyway so that we can still reach out to you. That would be awesome. And let us know if there are things that you want to hear about in the future for future town halls. To get back to the question, if I can remember it correctly after saying all of that, somebody remind me, what's going on here?
So is not having an internship, if you're a junior, not having an internship this summer going to impact your opportunities for next year?
Yes, right on. Great question. It depends on how you treat this time is going to be my answer. It depends on how you treat this time. If you decide that, you didn't get the internship because of COVID-19 and you decide not to do anything, like I had mentioned before, and like many of us are echoing, it's going to put you in a position where other people have pivoted and they're going to look better than you for that next job. Now, that doesn't mean that if your internship was canceled that you're completely screwed. You're going to be okay. Everything is going to be fine. We're going to work through this and get through this. But you do have the opportunity, and one of the best pieces of advice I've ever heard is you always have a choice. You may not like your choices, but you always do have a choice. And be smart about those choices, right? Go ahead and sign up for that part-time job. Go ahead and be that pizza delivery person. If that's all that's out there, nobody's going to look down on you for it. Nobody is. And if they do, they're the wrong people you should be taking advice from. That's exactly what I'm going to tell you. What do you think, Geraldine?
I think that what Bob said definitely, but also understand that employers are going to have a little bit of grace for what's going on this time. And again, if you worked as a pizza delivery person and because that was what was available to you and you need to pay your rent and do all the other things, and so that was what you did, people are going to understand that. I think there's also a story there. So it is about how you craft your story and tell it. So again, just really make sure that you don't feel hopeless during this time. You have resources here to help you. Reach out to us. We can help you understand how being that pizza delivery person was actually something good that you would want to share with an employer, just probably not the way you're thinking about it. So we can help you reframe your thinking on that as well.
Right on. What's next, Greg?
Yeah. When is it too late to look for an internship?
Well, the answer to that one is never. And especially now. So we, in the College of Business, at least, we're really, really set on our pattern of when you should be doing certain things to get that next step. This whole thing is throwing a monkey wrench in that entire process. Employers are pivoting and hiring at different rates right now. People are backing out of internships because they feel unsafe. There are a lot of different scenarios that are going on right now. So keeping cognizant of what is actually being offered in the moment is going to be very, 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 very important. You should be checking available internships every single day right now. If you need to, you should be checking it every single day. You should be checking LinkedIn jobs and LinkedIn internships every day. You should be checking in with Southwest Michigan First site, that brown one shared, every single day until you find what it is that you need to get through this process. And that's my advice. That's what I think.
I would agree, Bob.
All right, Greg, any other questions that we have to answer?
Yeah, we just have maybe one or two more questions, but before we ask that, just want to remind everyone that We do have a poll open. You might have to open the chat down at the bottom of your screen to answer the poll, but we just need to collect some of this information for our data later on. Okay, so what are some recommendations for virtual interviewing?
Perfect question. We have a wonderful resource for virtual interviews, and actually it's on that resource list in your comments. Some of you are familiar with it. It's called Big Interview. The Zhang Career Center and Career and Student Employment Services have spent a lot of money on a program so that you can actually practice virtual interviewing on your own in your home. So it'll record your interview. You get to rewatch it, which is the best and worst part, because it's very, very difficult to watch yourself on video. But it will give you, immediate feedback to, where was I looking when I answered that question? Or, did I answer the question to its fullest? You're going to have that immediate feedback that you can rewatch, and it's very, very helpful. I cannot oversell Big Interview. It's a great resource. I would be using it because it's great virtual interview practice. You can also, if you want to, and if you're able, set up virtual interviews with myself. I'm sure Geraldine would do some virtual interviews. I'm sure Greg and Jen are both adept at doing virtual interviews as well over this median so that you feel more comfortable. We do practice interviews all the time in the Career Center, and we can still do it. We'll just do it virtually, and that might help as well.
Yeah, and if you actually Google how to appear professional on Zoom, there are lots of articles out there right now on what folks should do, from put a lamp to the right of your face to make sure that the lighting is good and your picture is clear, to make sure that your background isn't cluttered. So all those little tips like that can be helpful as well, because it does make a difference.
Right on. That's great. That's a great point. All right, Greg, how about one more?
All right, so the last one that we have is, should I delay my graduation until December 2020 to help, in order to help me try to find an internship next summer?
My response to that would be no. So just go find the job. It's the same process that you'd be going through. I mean, it doesn't mean that you can't if that's really what you want to do, but I would say for me, getting graduated is far more important, and that you should just go ahead and get some help in getting yourself polished up, and then head out to the career fairs in the fall with the idea of landing your permanent position rather than an internship for the summer.
Yeah, and I completely agree. You're going to spend more time in school and pay for more schooling, or, don't do that to yourself. Somebody's paying for that, be it, parents or grandparents or you or student loans. Don't increase your debt just because of the coronavirus. Let's, get through school. Let's get accomplished. Let's get that degree. And, it's not a desert of jobs out there. There are jobs available. We need to go out there and get the jobs that are available and then pivot and make them work for us so that we can keep moving up that corporate ladder. That's really what we want to focus on doing. So I totally agree. Graduate. Let's go get a job. Okay, well, I think that might be the end of our town hall today. Please stay tuned. Check us out on LinkedIn. Check us out on Instagram. We're going to throw out other dates. 3 weeks from now, we're planning on having an employer panel to try to answer your questions from the employer perspective, and that's kind of going to be our next thing. So stay tuned for that and the login for that. It's going to be an awesome conversation, and we hope to see you all real soon. Thank you to all of our panelists. Thank you for everybody for tuning in. And if you need any help, you know where to find us. Zhang Career Center. Go to HCOB's website, Zhang Career Center, and sign up for an appointment, and we'll help you as best we can. Thank you all for listening. All right, I'm going to assume that. Greg, can you stop recording?